Good morning, welcome. It is garden tour Saturday today, and we're taking a look at the front rock garden. Today's video is a collab hosted by the one and only Grandma Sandy. Go check her out. She does garden tours every Saturday and fairy gardens every Thursday. The co-hosts for today's video are the lovely Suffolk Susie from Long Island, New York, Patricia and Cube from somewhere in the south of the United States, and Barb Daly, Rural Life from somewhere in the high mountains of the United States. Not entirely sure on the location. Go check out these three lovely channels. They all participate in Garden Tour Saturday. Here's an overview of the front rock garden in early February. Everything is quite dormant. What you see right in front of you here, this is my secret succulent labyrinth fairy garden that I made quite a while ago actually. Still looks fine. I'm definitely thinking about turning this into some kind of a Valentine's themed fairy garden. Haven't done it yet, still thinking of some ideas, but this may be changing very soon. We're gonna walk the perimeter of this rock garden first and take a look at what's happening right on the edge, close to the sidewalk here. I have a bunch of hens and chick succulents right here. I incorporated this little ghost-like creature. These actually do glow in the dark, so it's kind of a little whimsical touch in the rock garden. I got these on Amazon and I absolutely love them. And going a little closer to the sidewalk, I have a whole bunch of hens and chicks right along the border, and this was done intentionally. They go quite distance. This is for weed control so that the weeds don't grow right beside the cement, and I'd say it works pretty well. I really want to do this across the whole sidewalk. As they start to multiply, I do divide them and add them along the crack, but it's got a long way to go still. Looking in this direction, up the slope, right here, these are rock rose ground covers. I've talked quite a bit about these on my channel. I have these in the front rock garden, the back rock garden. They come in different varieties, different colors. This is a more vigorous orange variety. Then we have some less vigorous varieties. Can't remember the color, but they're all beautiful. They're all evergreen and super drought tolerant, and they love porous soil. So if those are conditions you have, definitely think about rock rose ground covers. Coming up this way in the rock garden, these are rhododendrons. Believe it or not, I consider these very drought tolerant. I rarely water them in the summertime and they do really well. I don't believe all rhododendrons are drought tolerant, but these ones are. Don't actually know the variety. They were here in the original garden that I started gardening in, so they're probably about 17 years old, and they're doing really well. They don't look their best right now, but it's been really cold, so they've got the weepy leaf situation happening. Lots of buds on them though, so they should be blooming just fine when the weather warms up. Moving a little further over in the rock garden, in the distance here, that is a weeping Japanese maple. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's been heavily pruned this season because it often weeps right to the ground, so hopefully the leaves won't actually touch the ground this season. It really does better when the leaves don't touch the ground. And zooming out again, in the corner of the rock garden, we have my little Valentine's themed fairy garden. I see some of the pieces fell over. It was quite windy yesterday actually, so that's probably what happened. Just put them back up. This was just a little whimsical flower and rock inspired fairy garden for Valentine's. These gnomes got a little taste of flowery life, and there are some positive affirmation rocks in this fairy garden. There's some flowery homes that the gnomes built for the fairies. Very lovely. And moving into the mulched area of the rock garden, there's actually been a ton of changes in here since last spring, summer, this fall, early winter. I did a lot of garden renovations here. I'll pop a picture of what this used to look like in the spring when it was blooming. It's going to be very different this season. I actually took out lots of creeping phlox. This is one of the remaining creeping phlox, and then this is a small one. But two of the bigger ones were scorched from the summer heat. I don't have any irrigation here, and I don't water that much. So the two that were in the front here were composted, and instead I transplanted some of my rock rose ground covers. They're more drought tolerant than creeping phlox, and put them into this rock garden, into this bed. So hopefully they're a better choice for this location. And moving a little further into the garden, there are now ornamental grasses all over this little mulch bed. These were transplanted from another area of the garden, and I think they're going to do really well here. And we have to take a moment to appreciate some of the only color in the garden. Look at this cute little purple pansy. These little purple pansies self-seed everywhere in this garden, and they are just delightful. There's one here. And if we go a little further over, I spy another little purple pansy. This one has 2 flowers on it. So lovely. Let's take a little look at the interior part of this rock garden. There is so much happening here. This is part of my rose collection here. There's a variety of different roses. Some of them I know the names, and some of them I do not. They don't look like much right now, but you can see if we zoom in, they're starting to get little green buds on them, so that is super exciting. And moving this way in the rock garden, there's actually quite a bit of green happening. These are Shasta daisies. They were from a wildflower mix. I have a ton of them. They seed everywhere, and I do control them because they will go too wild seeding themselves. But I let them have a few specimens in this garden, and they just grow the typical daisy. Right beside them, this is one of my favorite plants right now. This is a unimus. This was a cutting from my parents' garden, and I love, love, love this color. It is just so vibrant. This is no filter. This is the real color. What you see, so many different shades of orange, pink, white, peach, green, yellow. So beautiful. I love that this plant is evergreen. Moving a little further over, this might not look like much, this might look dead, but trust me, this is not dead at all. These are Sweet Williams, and they were originally grown from seed in this garden. And although they may look dead, there's actually a lot of life in these, and because I didn't pull these out, they will emerge in spring and bloom much sooner than many of the other little specimens in this garden. Here's another one of my favorite spring plants. Not a lot of people talk about this plant right here. This is actually called a wallflower, and it's a perennial in my garden. You can see a little fairy house right beside it. It gets some really beautiful deep burgundy red and orange flowers. So nice, and I love the lush green foliage all year round. The only downside to wallflowers is that rabbits love to eat them. So if you have rabbits in your neighborhood, they might not work out, but if you don't, they might. Rabbits used to come here, but they haven't been here often, so fingers crossed. They don't eat too much of my wallflowers. And planted amongst my ornamental grasses we looked at earlier, we have autumn joy sedum. There are lots here. These were here last season and the season before, and I think they're gonna look so beautiful amongst the ornamental grass that wasn't here previously. I think it's gonna be a really lovely combination. Coming back into the interior part of this rock garden, here, this plant is another Unimis, different variety. Also was a cutting from my parents' garden. And it is thriving. This is the most it has ever grown. Last fall it put on lots of new growth, and it is loving its life here. Coming this way in the rock garden, what you see at the base here of the slope, these are creeping phlox. You will have seen them in many of my videos. I'll pop a picture on the screen what they look like in full bloom. And right beside them at the back, these are Grace Ward. And coming further into the rock garden, the hedge you see is a California lilac. If I have a picture, I will pop it on the screen of what it looks like in bloom. We have some blue Fiskay ornamental grasses here. And this rock was dug out during a fall garden renovation that I'm about to show you in a couple of minutes. And here is a little collection of spring emerging. We have little bulbs. And if I'm not mistaken, I think a rabbit has eaten them. There is no supervisor to be eating bulbs. So I'm quite certain a creature, most likely a rabbit, has been here recently. There's some daffodils. They don't touch daffodils. They are toxic to animals. More daffodils. I believe these are grape hyacinths, and I don't know why they haven't. Oh, they were eaten. Something was eating them, I can tell. And another little flower. Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. That is the Grace Ward just starting to bloom. Coming this way in this area, we have these bulbs that are emerging. These are anemones. I can't say the word right. Beautiful spring bulbs with shades of pink and purple. This is the area of the rock garden that was renovated in the fall. What you see here, I'll try to find a picture of what it looked like before. That's where those ornamental grasses came from. And this was actually my dad's idea for renovation. He figured he always watched me walk through the flower bed with garbage cans, recycling bins, compost bins, and suggested that we turn it into a pathway instead of just a flower bed that I was dragging lots of equipment through. And I think that was a brilliant idea. So it is much more functional now. And I had a lot of plants to transplant from that little renovation. Just noticed this bird joined in on the tour. I've actually never seen a bird like this in this area. It made the most interesting bird noise a minute ago, so I wanted to turn the camera on and show you. Don't know where it's going next, but a very interesting bird. Right in front of you, this is a spirea bush. I have several of them going up this rock border. I'll try to find a picture of what they look like later in the season. Pretty dormant right now still. Thank you so much for joining me on Garden Tour Saturday. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and we will see you soon with another video. I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or night wherever you are. Bye for now.